Hey everyone, I'm checking in again. I told you a couple weeks ago that Jennifer and myself would be attending the Discipleship 1 or the DS1 conference being held at Providence Church that I'm doing my residency through. And so I just wanted to jump back in after a couple weeks have passed and remind you that DS1, the conference that we went to, the Relational Discipleship Network that puts on that conference, are all about making disciples the way that Jesus did, and that is relationally. If you look at the Gospels, you see how Jesus interacted with those around him, how he interacted with the disciples, and it was all about building relationships, and through those relationships that he would disciple them. And so having read Discipleship, the book that I shared with you last time, as well as being a part of a small group at Providence, we've been able to see firsthand how this has played out and have been able to kind of put it in practice ourselves. So as I shared in the last video, I wanted to be able to, in this video, share some takeaways from that DS1 conference that we went to. The very first takeaway, and probably the strongest one, and one we're probably aware of, we just don't really think about, is that we are to communicate. And what we mean by that is having clear, concise statements on goal setting, on communications, and celebrations. And we learned this through the interactions that we had in a small group setting, particularly around like an icebreaker type game. And we realized very quickly that we weren't all on the same page when it came to setting a goal to be able to accomplish the task that was given to us during that icebreaker game. And it just kind of drove it home for me, the importance of being able to have a clear, concise goal put out there for the group, and for us to continue to communicate it and reiterate it over and over and over again. You've probably heard it before. I know I have heard it many times, that when you get sick and tired of repeating yourself and hearing yourself say the same thing over and over again, that most people that you're talking to are just now getting it for the first time. So again, that would probably be the biggest takeaway that I had as far as DS1 goes. This idea of being able to clearly communicate some goals, be able to communicate those things over and over again so that everybody's on the same page, everybody understands what's going on. And then when we accomplish those goals, be able to celebrate and be able to have a big party, if you will, to be able to know that we've reached those goals that we've set. And of course, what's the ultimate goal? We're to make disciples. And so we want to be able to celebrate as disciples are coming in and being sent out to live on mission themselves, and that they in turn go and make other disciples. So that would be the biggest takeaway that I would say for you, that I took away from DS1, to communicate. The second one is that disciple making can be understood as seeking to walk intimately with Jesus and helping others to walk intimately with Jesus. Again, simple, but it's just something that I really took away and was reminded of. So really what we're talking about is the great commandment: loving God, loving neighbor. So again, you can think of disciple making as seeking to walk intimately with God and helping others do the same. And when you stop and think about it, that's a whole lot more simpler than what we typically try to do in program after program after program. Really, if I'm trying to love God and love neighbor well, that means I'm trying to walk intimately with God, and I'm trying to help others do the same thing. It's simple but difficult as well, because that's a lot of room and a lot of error to play with as far as you thinking about how you help others walk. But again, it really comes back to the great commandment: loving God, loving neighbor. So again, I want to encourage you to check out the RDN, the Relational Discipleship Network, as well as pick up Discipleship if you haven't already. Begin to read that. Take your small group through it. Take your leadership through it, whoever that might be in your church or in your setting. But definitely would encourage you to take part of the RDN network, maybe attend a future DS1, as I know that they will put those on several times throughout the year. But I want to encourage you to do all that, and also encourage you to make disciples like Jesus and lead your church to do the same. In the end, feel free to reach out to me with any questions that you might have, or if you want to know more about relational discipleship, feel free to reach out to me. I would love to be able to sit down and talk with you about how to make disciples the way that Jesus did. Until then, take care and God bless.